Hey, Nicole here. All right, we're going to talk about the fire signs with the water signs. And this video in particular is going to be Aries. So we'll start out with the first. So this is Aries with Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. Now, of course, when we're combining heat, fire, and water, we can have a few different I guess reactions happen, right? So the first thing I think of with heat and water is I think of boiling water. So this would be fire applied to water in a way that produces like a positive outcome, right? So the fire gets the water kind of moving, it helps the water expand, it actually causes the water to be like a transformative force, etc. Now, on the other hand, we can have, obviously, water can put out fire, right? It smothers fire. And this is exactly what you can see in a relationship between a fire sign and a water sign. You can also see, like, you think of a pressure pot, like a steam pot, where you've got water inside of an enclosed environment and you apply heat to it, the water expands and it creates pressure. And so this can happen too with water and fire. Now, let's talk specifically about Aries. With Aries, as we've said on other videos, we have this fiery, dynamic, direct, sometimes overly honest, I guess overly direct, fairly bold personality type. And what we're going to look at first is Aries to Cancer. With Cancer, we have this archetype of the mother and of the womb. Whether you're a man or a woman, you're going to be somebody who's nurturing, who, if you have children, you're going to be a parent that dotes after your children or after your pets or if you have a vegetable garden or plants, you're going to enjoy growing something and nurturing something. Aries, on the other hand, is more of a sign focused and concerned on his own personal directives, his own, where am I going with my life? It's more of a selfish sign, okay? And I don't mean judgment on that. It's more of a sign that's focused on its own needs rather than, those of its partners sometimes. So when you put these two together, a few things can happen. First of all, Aries is going to be attracted to Cancer's especially if it's an Aries male to a Cancer female, more so than the other way around, but will be attracted to Cancer's vulnerability and Cancer's sweetness and Cancer's need for maybe a protector or provider. Okay, that's going to appeal to Aries. The Aries, though, is probably not going to love the smothering that can happen sometimes with a Cancer, or really with any of the water signs. Cancer's go-to when they're stressed is they withdraw. So even if you're Cancer Sun, Moon, or Rising, when you are feeling threatened, you're going to withdraw and you're going to take a step back and like literally need to be by yourself, or metaphorically maybe break up with somebody and at any rate, you're going to take a step back. The Aries is a little bit typically more direct, unless you have an Aries who's got Cancer in their chart, and that's a different story. But Aries is going to be making movements forward towards the Cancer, and the Cancer is going to be, taking these steps back. And so there can be this little dynamic, this Cancer getting her feelings hurt, crying, tears, the Aries then freaking out a little bit and running, basically, because that's kind of just what happens with the dynamics between these two. But then also many times Aries will have this desire to protect this female, that's sad, and will then come back and take care of her. So anyways, it's kind of this back and forth thing. It's a very volatile mixture. They square one another. In my experience, my mom's a Cancer, my dad's an Aries, and my experience was that it was very volatile and a lot of fighting. So I wouldn't necessarily, and everybody I've known that's this combination of Aries Cancer, it's always the Cancer feeling like their needs aren't being met, and the Aries feeling like the Cancer wants too much from them, or like the Cancer, just this, that they just kind of, what's the word? They don't connect with one another, I guess. So, all right, so then on to the next. Let's talk about Aries with Scorpio. Both of these signs, Scorpio traditionally was ruled by Mars, and that's Aries is also ruled by Mars. This can actually be one of the cases where water and fire can come together and create something pretty amazing. I would say Cancer and Aries is like water on the fire, whereas many times when you see Scorpio and Aries together, it's very passionate. This is going to be like your steam engine, or it's going to be, the boiling kettle of water. That's actually something that you can do some productive things with it, okay? because they're both ruled by Mars, these are volatile, friction kind of loving, seeking personality types. Very sexual. These two together, again, the passion is definitely a huge part of this relationship. If Aries is able to kind of ante up and be mature enough to accept the Scorpio's transformative role in their life, then this can be a very incredible combination of people. I have a good friend that's a Scorp who's like a quadruple Scorp whose wife, she's passed away, but she was had a bunch of Aries in her chart, Aries Sun and a bunch of other Aries, if I remember correctly. But their relationship was amazing. And I know that when they first got together, their first year or so, I think was kind of tough. There was a lot of adjustment. But then they got to a place where it was just, they're like made for each other. So again, he has Sagittarius. My friend has less Sagittarius too, which was helpful. But anyway, it is always helpful when you're mixing elements like this, that if one of you also holds, you know, if you're water and your partner's fire, you want to hold some fire, maybe a fire moon, fire Venus, these types of things to find some common ground. But as a general rule, these two archetypes, they can work together. Expect it to be fairly explosive and a very powerful combination though, okay? Oh, and also the Scorpio will help give the Aries, Scorpio is about, you know, longevity, commitment and loyalty. So this fixed nature of Scorpio will help the Aries to be a little bit more apt to commit. The only thing I can see with this is definitely Scorps can be really jealous. It's a possessive thing. They want to own your soul kind of a thing. Anybody who has strong Pluto applying to their sun or their moon is the same way. That's also Scorpio. Or if your sun or moon's in the 8th house and you're going to have this desire to, with a partner, like possess them. And so you can have, hi Lily, you can have issues with the Aries feeling a little bit smothered by the Scorpio, unless again the Aries has some water in his chart or Pluto, or she has Pluto applying to her sun or her moon or something. Then you've got more of a flexible or more of an opportunity for these two to work. Okay, now on to Aries and Pisces. So Pisces, this is an interesting one. You've got Aries, the first sign of the zodiac, and Pisces, the last sign, right? Aries is kind of the child of the zodiac, and Pisces is kind of like the old soul of the zodiac. So it's an interesting combination. Again, with all of these Arian combinations, I would probably prefer to see the Aries as the male, although Scorpio can go either way because they're both quite strong. But because water signs are more sensitive and soft, it's easier just culturally for the water sign to be the female, all right? Now, with this particular combo, you're going to have a very sensitive female who craves some depth, deep connection, soul connection. Pisces have this ability to also to merge with their partner, and they can kind of adjust themselves to fit their partner. So you actually see Pisces with a lot of different signs, but the problem is what's best for the Pisces, right? In this situation, the Pisces definitely can get in a scenario where she is kind of catering to the Aries, okay? The Aries can be a little bit selfish and narcissistic, and so she could be a little bit kind of in her codependent role as a Pisces to this Aryan ego, which could work fine if they're both all right with it, you know? I mean, it's actually quite a combination of masculine and feminine. So the issue you'd run into is the Pisces feeling like she'd be the one that would come to me as the astrologer, or he, or even a Pisces man with an Aries female, would be the one coming to me and trying to figure out their Aries, and I can't figure them out, and they're so difficult, but I love them so much, and I want to figure them out. And then I, as the astrologer, would say, well, there's not really anything to figure out. They're just how they are, and you're not going to fix them or change them. So do you want to be with this person, or do you not want to be with this person? And the Pisces, and even Virgos are like this too, they'll not be satisfied with that. They might feel like, but I feel like there's something I can do to fix the situation, to make them love me more, to be more expressive, or blah, blah, blah. And there's just not. So that can be an issue, I feel, between these two signs. But the imagination of the Pisces and the enterprising spirit of the Aries can be really fantastic together for creative projects. These two romantically, you know, Aries is, and remember, this is pure archetype, but Aries is get in and get out, lovemaking style, kind of, and Pisces is more the let's linger here in bed, all day. It's very romantic. It's like, let's merge, let's cuddle, let's touch. Not even having to necessarily have sex, but just this desire to be close to the partner physically. And that could feel, again, a little smothering to the Aries. So this combination to me is a little bit like the water. This can go either way. It's kind of the water on the fire. If the Pisces is more of a needy, less evolved Pisces, and the Aries as well. But if you've got two evolved people, this could be a really pretty powerful combination. It could be more like our pressure pot, where it could be a little bit almost explosive in nature. So that's Aries and the water signs.